Hello and welcome to the Established Self-Love Summit. I'm your host, Tricia Reid. The Established Self-Love Summit is an open dialogue presenting ideas on the exploration of and nurturing of self-love and all the ways we could be blocking the love we so inherently crave. I look forward to exploring this further with you. Today's guest is John Gray.
Well, hi, everyone. We're here for the Established Self-Love Summit, and we're meeting here with John Gray, and he's the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And John, welcome. I would like
Well,
to tell everyone a bit about yourself.
well, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be with you. And I guess today we'll be talking about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but really the updated version is beyond Mars and Venus, because as our roles have changed, as women are more independent, it changes the dynamics of a relationship. But we're still using the old relationship skills. These are conditioned responses inside of us. And unless we upgrade our skills, it's easy to take things personally and not feel loved when in truth we are. And that's really important.
Okay. Well, and that's when I was first introduced to your work was Beyond, so I had heard of the others, but when I really needed to dig in to find some answers for myself, I was looking at the Beyond. So tell us more. Why were you inspired to write?
Well, my background was not knowing very much about relationships. I was a monk for 9 years in my 20s. And in my teenage years, I had lots of girlfriends. I was very into that whole thing. But I was inspired to be my authentic self, to know the divine and so forth. And I did that for 9 years and was very successful and very happy and taught meditation. Then my brother was bipolar, and um, meditation helps, but it doesn't really hit the mark when it comes to bipolar. So I wanted to study psychology. And so I came back out into the world to study psychology and became a counselor and realized, oh, so much of what they were teaching in psychology classes wasn't really helpful for some people. It was kind of encouraging the ideas that men and women should be the same. And that still goes on. If you're different, something's wrong with you, which is ironic because at a time when we're so open-minded, if you're actually very masculine, you're a man, or very feminine, you're a woman, you're looked down on. Women feel weak if they're feminine, and men feel they're bad guys, unloving if they're more masculine. And actually, the most loving men have tremendous masculinity. We have to realize what masculinity is all about, and I define it, and it's within us, but we can get confused. Selflessness is actually the masculine trait. We think of women as being selfless, but actually, as a therapist, women will come in and say, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. Now, granted, she first did everything she thought would be loving. And then when it doesn't come back, she feels so hurt. But actually, what the things she did are not the things that men need most, because she doesn't understand. She's giving men what women want, which actually makes men more feminine and weakens them and makes them more passive. So by giving the wrong kind of nourishment, so to speak, or the wrong expectations of a man, it actually can weaken him. And she doesn't know that. And men, by the way, don't understand what women need today. It's a big change. As women are more independent, their emotional needs become more important, because the female hormones are regulated in relationship, depending on someone, feeling I'm giving and receiving, I'm receiving and I'm giving. These are like the whole dynamics of estrogen. Estrogen is stimulated when you feel you can depend on someone. And feeling you can depend on someone means feeling safe to need them. And Maslow pointed out that as society changes, as consciousness rises, our needs change. If you're hungry and you don't have a place to stay, your requirements are much less to get married. If you got a job, I'll marry you. If you'll make babies for me, I'll marry you. There's a basis survival level needs. And when those needs are pretty much met by ourself, then a new need emerges, and that's the need for emotional support. And we really are learning to define that. I remember the book Emotional Intelligence came out talking about how people who are more emotionally intelligent are actually more successful in the business, but there's a huge lack of emotional intelligence in our intimate relationships. So that's where we need to really focus on increasing our awareness of how to give your partner the kind of support they really need. And for women, men need to learn how to give a woman the kind of support she really needs, because we don't know.
So, okay, so I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. So you were talking about that knowing. So how can we help with that knowing? I mean, it's not just a communication of what do you need. So how do we address?
Well, let me give an example there. It really is all about getting what we need, but one is knowing what we need, and two is knowing our partner has that need. So I think everybody's gotten the Mars Venus message today that women really need to talk more, guys need to listen more. And so if a guy doesn't have that same need, he doesn't instinctively recognize the importance of it. So he might think I'm listening, and then he quickly says, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Or you really don't need to be upset. That means he doesn't really understand from his own experience what validation means, which is how to show that you care. That same man, he will go out and give his life in battle because he cares about his family, his country, and so forth. Not himself. He's caring about his family. Okay. So, but when his wife is upset, he goes, don't worry about it. And so she gets the message, what? He doesn't care? He doesn't care? Because if somebody's upset, you go, oh, what is it? What is it? And when I'm trying to teach men what caring looks like, the new kind of caring, men are tremendously caring, and they stop being caring when they feel they're not successful. That's a key thing we'll get into, is if he doesn't feel he's successful, why bother? He goes into depression. But the bottom line is, if you have a new car, guys, okay, you got this new car and somebody dents it, you come out of the store and there's a dent in the side, or somebody's keyed it, which happened to me. You feel like, oh, my car, because you feel like that's my car. And it's like if your car's hurting, you're hurting, okay? And that's what we would feel with a little child. If our children are hurt, oh, my little child. But when our wife is upset, we get very rational and go, you really don't need to be upset. It's just a scratch. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. We'll paint over it. Nothing, no big deal. That minimizes the emotional need at that time. Because for intimacy to occur, a woman must feel safe to reveal what she doesn't reveal to the outer world. It's like we wear clothes because we don't want to reveal what's underneath, because people would be judgmental. People could be critical. People could say things. People would laugh. People would give us advice. So we don't reveal. We have our covering to make us look good, which is okay. But then we have intimacy, which is, okay, I can show you a little bit more. I can show you a little bit more. And then we have one special person. We show it all. And that is the goal of intimacy, which is an emotional need that we haven't learned how to do yet. It's explosive. If a woman reveals how she feels, men tend to, if they're not educated, ridicule. That's ridiculous. We tend to minimize. Oh, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's not, everybody goes through this right now. So you got to just let it go. Or she wants to bring up something and he doesn't listen. What will happen is that causes a stress response in her, because it's an emotional need which isn't being met. In the past, people weren't so sensitive. See, if you're hungry, you don't care how your partner talks to you, really. Give me the food, I'm happy. So I remember one time, my own experience, I'm with my wife, and we have this another residence, a ranch out by the ocean in Northern California. And so right in the very beginning, it needed a lot of fixing up, like double pane glass. So it was pretty cold in one of the cabins. And we got there and there was some tension between us. Something came up. I have no idea. As couples, we get into the ridiculous tensions over nothing really, but you don't say that at the time. And so we have this little upset going on, and we get to the cabin and it's really cold. So I go out and get some wood and build a fire. All of our problems were solved. We sat by that fire and we just felt so connected, and we made love that night, because our need for survival, for heat, superseded any emotional needs at that time. And that's the problem today, is that more than we can even imagine, our sense of security is so much greater. Even when we think it's not, it really is. Imagine being a long time ago where you didn't have police, and that's a part of our brain is like that. When we have a fight or flight reaction, it goes into I could die. Okay. We may not feel it, but we have this anxiety that comes up. And for women, that anxiety tends to be on average 8 times more than men. Okay. This is like a generalization. Women worry more than men,
Okay.
unless a man has got more estrogen. If he's got more estrogen, he'll worry more than a woman. It's a matter of how his hormones. So if he's in balance, he's not going to worry so much. That's why men can be so dismissive and seem so uncaring, because they'll focus on what is the biggest problem and their mind goes there. And if there's nothing I can do to solve that big problem, then there's nothing to worry about. I can't do anything about it. So I'll just relax. So whereas a woman's mind will go, but yes, we have this and this and this and this and this. And what helps her processing, it's not the only thing, but one of the things that can help is to be able to share what's going on inside of her. And she'll instinctively do it until it doesn't work. And for some women, don't do it because it never worked as a child. And so they don't even know the benefit of being able to talk about what they feel. And then if they know the benefit of it, they don't know how to do it with their husband, because it's a whole different story. Okay, so women come to me in counseling, they can share anything. I don't take anything personally because it's not about me. But if it's my wife saying all that stuff, I'm gonna have to defend myself here. Men are defenders. That's what we do. And so we have to learn how to communicate so as not to push the defensive buttons in men, but also be your truthful self. And how men have to learn how to listen so those defensive buttons don't go off, because she's not going to be perfect and he's not going to be perfect. So we have to live within the realm of could be her problem, could be his problem, but give up the blame and take responsibility for how I can do it better. So, I have a friend, he's written a book called Why Men Are the Way They Are. He's a really good friend, and he's written lots of books on gender. And he teaches workshops, and he really specializes in how to listen to criticism without getting upset. Okay, because we're not designed to listen to criticism. It just means I'm not being loved. And I laugh because he's an expert at it, and he really is good at it. You can criticize him and he'll go, oh, tell me more. Really? Oh, that's so interesting. and my emphasis is how to communicate so you don't push those buttons in somebody. So both skills are necessary, really, which is how to listen. And I help men. My message is to know that when it comes to emotions, negative upsets, we have a button as men, a fire, let's put it out. And we have to reframe that and realize the way you put out that fire is danger. The danger is she doesn't love me, is to do the very thing that will get you the love. And telling her not to feel what she feels is the very thing that will push her further out of balance. Okay. And by creating a safe space, creating safety, non-reactive, intention to be curious, to understand, is the thing she needs most. And what I love about the Beyond Mars and Venus book is it gives us the biological foundation of how our bodies respond with hormones and how men and women are so different.
And that's what struck me the most, is that talking about different, everyone's hormones are at a different level. And then in the book, you pointed out different activities will evoke, or different conversation approaches will evoke different hormones. But maybe I'm saying that wrong. Is that?
No, you said it perfect. We know that whenever you give a man the message that he is successful, he did his job right, he made a difference, okay, or give a woman that message, the hormone that gets produced in your body is testosterone. Now, a man for well-being needs 10 to 30 times more testosterone. Women don't need it that much. They may need to be successful in order to pay the bills and maybe feed their ego, look what I can do, but that makes the hormone testosterone. So a lot of successful women who are divorced today because they can't fall in love. Nobody's good enough. And that's not so much about men, that's about them, which is their heart's not open. The heart is an amazing thing. It's able to pull the best of people. It draws out the best in men. If you're on a date with a guy and he feels that, he's being judged, he's being tested, he's being criticized, he's not good enough, he's just not interested. He'll pull away. And so then you won't see all his good qualities. You don't get a chance to see how you can bring out the best in him.
So what do we do
Women,
with that? That's that self-love element.
that's self-love. Yes.
What do we do with that on both sides? That's for both parties involved.
Both parties involved. So men, when they're able to feel successful, their testosterone goes up. They have a sense of pride in being a servant. See, I'm proud to serve. Okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing, which is many men feel if they're serving their wives and their family that they're weak. No, that they have no power. I'm the boss. No, I serve. Okay, so that's A. That's testosterone. That's self-love. When a man doesn't love himself, then he's dependent on you to pump up his testosterone. So he becomes excessively dependent on you to build him up. And that then means if you're not building him up, it's your fault. So that's where men go into their blame. They become bullies, they become angry, they become demanding, they shut down, they lose their tenderness in their heart, all because of low testosterone. They're not able to love themselves because, particularly for a man, he loves himself by what he does and the response he gets. So if I'm not, like, my mission in this world is I'm a teacher to help relationships. And if I decided to retire, my ability to love myself would diminish. Because although I do love myself, I'm also dependent on the outer world for part of that self-love. And I don't depend on my wife for all of it. I depend on myself. I depend on my work. I depend on my children by being a good parent to them. I depend on my spirituality. I'm a big meditator. I've taught meditation for 50 years. I'm not famous teaching it because this is what my mission is, but for me, meditation is so great, loving and sending love to the world. These are all things that I do to love myself by being authentic and doing what I'm here to do. For women, a lot of that's exactly the same. But when you look at the hormones of it, for women, the estrogen levels need to be 10 times higher than in a man. And to fall in love, okay, it needs to be 20 times higher than the average man. Has the double inside of her. Now, this is biology. This is like right there. When women are feeling, I deeply love you, their estrogen levels are very, very high. So now sociology has taught us that, and this is not common knowledge. I have to go search for all of this. I have the theory first, and then I find the biology and the research.
It resonates with me because you dug in there so much. So
and I see what works, So then I go, why does that work? Why does that work? So this was like really was the foundation of writing that book, Beyond Mars and Venus, when I saw that estrogen is stimulated in women for well-being, and it's produced when women feel they can get what they need. Okay, so here I am, a guy, when I feel you need me and I can provide something of value to you, my testosterone goes up, my well-being increases. When a woman feels, oh, I'm getting something of value from someone, her estrogen goes up. So what are the symptoms of increasing estrogen in a woman is when she feels appreciation. Someone is doing something for you. When you can ask for help and someone responds, very big stimulator estrogen. When you feel, oh, I can't ask for help and get it, or I have needs and nobody's there for me, then what happens is it's simply you feel, oh, I'm alone. I have to do it myself. And the number one stimulator of testosterone is, look what I can do. I'll do it myself. So rarely do you hear as a therapist a man come in to the office saying things like, yes, I do everything. I have to do it all myself. Really what a guy will say is, I can do this and look at this. I can do this all myself and feel good about it. What he will complain about if he's married and he's not that happy, he will say, John, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. He wants to feel successful, because when men don't feel successful, their testosterone goes down and their estrogen goes too high. That's where men start feeling victimized in relationships. So estrogen is about, what do I need? And feeling victimized is, I didn't get what I need. So that's the distinction there. Nothing wrong with needing. It's the attitude of, I need and I'm not getting. So often this word need is very confusing to women, because they'll say, well, I don't want to be needy. And I go, right, nobody likes needy. So what does needing mean? You have a need and you feel, I can get that need met. That's called trust. You have a need and you feel, I can get that need. That's called acceptance. I can get what I need from this guy. But if you need everything from this guy, you can't get everything you need, because as human beings, we need intimacy, romance, but we also, and sex, but we also need to work. We need to have a mission. We need to give unconditional love. We need to help the planet. We need to find our true self, authenticity. We need personal growth. We need education. So a lot of needs we have, but what happens is our life could be empty of those things. And then we suddenly feel my partner has to provide all that I need, and they can't. And that can go either way for men and women. I mean, I remember Bonnie, my wife, said, one time I came home and she was like upset at me for something. And I said, honey, look what I did today. I just spoke to 1,000 people. I got a standing ovation. And then I come home and you berate me for forgetting the trash, something like that. And she said, John, I'm your wife. You have big needs, you need those 1,000 people. So you got it. That's your grace. That's a need you have. So you work hard to get that. So you got it. I'm your wife. I give you a different kind of love. And I got it. I got real clear. I saw that, and that we have different needs, and we go to our partner for this. We go to our work for this, and so forth. Like vitamins, you might need vitamin D, but you can have all your vitamins, but no sunshine. You don't have any vitamin D. So suddenly you get sick. Your immune system goes down. We need vitamin D. We need sunshine. So we could be getting a lot in our lives from our relationship, but suddenly it doesn't look that way if we're not always getting the other vitamins we need from life.
Okay. So how do we help each other in relationships with figuring out what those certain vitamins are? How do we identify that without pointing fingers?
Well, we always point fingers when we're not getting what we need. So we need to, first of all, whenever you're pointing fingers, you're not looking in the right direction. I have to thank my mother for that gift. I feel like I had extra advantages from most people, which helped me with this, is my mother lived an experience of, John, she was a very spiritual lady and felt life was grace. And grace means that you always have what you need. And if you don't have what you need, you're looking in the wrong direction. That's it. You're looking in the wrong direction. And that life is so rich and so full. And she lived it. She had 6 boys, 1 girl. I never saw her upset. The lady was happy all the time. She was selfless, giving, nurturing. She was very spiritual. She was filled up by her feeling never being alone. You see, one of the most challenging things for women is I'm alone. I have to do it myself. That then stimulates more testosterone and less estrogen. And we're talking about self-love. One of the experiences of self-love is feeling I deserve. Now, here's the paradox. When we're angry, we go, oh, I deserve more than that. Okay, I'm not getting what I deserve. When we're angry because we're not getting what we need, it's generally because some part of us is afraid we don't deserve it, even though we're telling ourselves, I deserve it, I deserve it. But actually, if you really felt you deserved it and somebody didn't give it to you, you'd be very patient. Well, maybe they can't give it today. Let me try to understand why. Fortunately, I can get my love here and here and here. We're more relaxed when we feel worthy. But we think, we hold on to our anger to get what we want. And it's natural if we deserve something and we're afraid we're not going to get it. We're not trusting. We get angry. But we should see that the anger really is rooted in the fact that I don't love myself and I need to give to myself now. Because the relationship really is about the kind of relationship we want today, which is this emotional support relationship, means that if we master it, we can have lasting passion and romance. Okay, that's really sort of how relationships are different today. People want to have great sex lives. They want passion. They want romance. And when they don't get it, they feel disappointed. And that disappointment now affects everything in the relationship. So things that if you were hungry wouldn't be a problem, but now that you've got food on the table and you got a house to live in, suddenly it becomes a problem. That new need is the need for passion. Passion is, we get a glimpse of it right away because of the beginning of a relationship. And the newness stimulates a lot of dopamine. And we feel, and because people do have a feeling of, I do deserve this, it feels really good, but they get the extra bump of dopamine, which is pleasure in the beginning. But once familiarity sets in, you're comfortable, that's serotonin. And serotonin lowers dopamine. So now you're in this relationship, you like your partner, you love them, you care about them, but you have no passion. And where did the passion go? So that's part of my whole message. The passion goes when we forget that men and women are different.
Okay.
It's polarity. When man is feeling strong in his masculinity, and you can actually measure this with his hormones, when his testosterone is way up, he produces this pheromone that calls out to women. It says, strong man will protect me. It awakens these deep feelings inside. And when a woman is making estrogen, it puts out these pheromones that says, here's a woman ready to appreciate what you can provide for me. And so they find that when they're in romantic feelings, when their heart is open, their estrogen levels are higher. It's also a natural cycle in women, because to ovulate, briefly, her estrogen levels will double. And what makes humans different from animals, one of the things, is that animals automatically have their ovulation go up. Estrogen go higher at the time of ovulation, but humans, we can simulate that. We can create a romantic date. We can ultimately have romantic feelings almost all the time, at different degrees, but that's something we can do. And they can't. They just have it at one time, and it's very physical. It's procreation as opposed to making love. And making love is increasing your love. But the foundation is self-love. So if we could just think about, our partners are not responsible for us to feel good. Our partners are responsible. Our relationship with our partners is responsible to make me feel more good. Okay.
What do we do with that? I mean, that's,
Well, okay. What can we practically do? I get what you're saying.
yeah.
So let me say it as a man. Let me give a real experience. I used to feel that I'm responsible for my wife's happiness. And boy, does that feel good. I take her to the movies. She likes the movie. I feel like I wrote the movie. Okay. I directed that movie. I take her to to see a theater, Broadway show, great seats. I got the seats, the great show. She's having a great time. And I'm going, yep, I did this. That's a big testosterone bump. And for her, she feels, oh, he got the tickets. He got these great seats. He brought me to this show. She's feeling like, oh, I didn't have to do this alone. He's there with me. All of that pumps her estrogen up. So this becomes a very memorable experience. And the brain remembers, I feel great, and I have the power to make her happy. So when I make her happy, I feel great. So men get attached to women being happy, feeling responsible, and that's neurosis. Okay. I have the power as a man to make her happier. I do. I can make her happier. I can also make her feel worse. I can do all the wrong things and make her feel worse. And I can make her happier, but it's not my job to make her happy. Happy is her job. You have to love yourself before you can let love in. And you have to sort of see that we're not responsible for each other's happiness. We're responsible to take each other higher. How does my wife take me higher? One of the key things is asking for my help in a way that makes me feel successful. Responding to what I do in a way that makes me feel successful. This is what this love is. But we have a brain which is conditioned, but if I'm not getting what I need, I have to make noise. Okay, so think of this limbic system of the brain is literally like a 3-year-old child. So I'm hungry, I make noises. I might, depending on my history and my parents and the energies around me, I might become angry, I might cry, I might become withheld, hold back, reactions. We resist, we hold on, we cling, or we avoid. These are 3 basic sort of reactions: anger, sadness, and fear. And that becomes our way to get what we want. So we live in this world and we're not getting what we want. We feel angry, sad, or afraid, which gives the message we don't trust, we don't accept, and we don't appreciate our partners. So we're constantly letting this primitive brain control us at times when we're not getting what we need. And that's when our stress levels are higher. So what we have to do is recognize whenever we're in those emotions, we need to take time and process those emotions, turn them back into love. And there's lots of ways to do that. We can talk about practical ways to do that.
Yeah.
But it's my job, if I'm angry, to not talk, to go away, to open my heart again and come back and give more love. Give more love. The whole key to this whole thing is love is the answer to bring out the best in your partner. And we have new research in the last 10 years, Nobel Prizes talking about these neurons in the brain that and we're in fight or flight, they will reflect back whatever is the danger. You will become the danger to the other person. And eye contact does that a lot. You know, women often, when they're upset with you, they'll look at you and they don't realize at that time you're actually activating his fight or flight response. And when you're activating the fight or flight response, you no longer have your enlightened thinking. Okay, you're no longer working from the executive part of the brain. Blood flow literally stops to the front part of the brain. Cortisol takes over your brain, and now you're in this fight or flight state where you behave in ways that 3-year-olds do. And maybe 7-year-olds, you know, you did this, but you did this, and you did this, and you did this. This is all conditioned responses from growing up in a family where our parents tended to do these things. And our instincts, which also automatically cause us to react in certain ways. So we have to, from this part of the brain, if we recognize I'm having symptoms that I'm responsible to change and not my partner. In the past, I had these symptoms and blamed my partner. In the past, I had these symptoms of, say, dissatisfaction, say uncomfortable, say anger, say hurt, say resentment, say fear, say concern, doubt, worried, I can't trust you. Any of those reactions are overreactions of the limbic system in the brain, overfiring of the limbic system, inhibiting logical thought, inhibiting our wisdom that we gain over a lifetime. So at that time, if I have these symptoms, do not believe what you feel. That's like, do not believe what you feel. See, the feeling says, he makes me feel this way. The feeling says, he doesn't love me. The feeling says, I will never get what I need from her. The feeling says, she doesn't appreciate all that I do. He doesn't appreciate all that I do. They play ping pong back and forth. All those.
How do we look at the thought process without it getting like too far down that?
Exactly. What we have to do is go, okay, it's happening. My brain has been hijacked, okay, by my reactions. This is my reactive self, okay? This is, you can call it all kinds of things. Limbic system, fear response, cortisol levels. I'm now overreacting. Now, we can't say to our partner, you're overreacting, because that makes them feel blamed, like something's unworthy in them. Freud pointed out that all of our neurosis is overreaction or underreaction. It's we're out of balance. We're out of balance. But you can't, when your partner's upset with you, you can't say, hey, you're out of balance. Okay. What you can do at that time is say, oh, I'm now reacting to them, because you will. If you try to change your partner, you will react to them and become like them. And when you're in that reactive place, we have to recognize we're attempting to change our partner. So we have to become aware, what are the symptoms inside of me that I do? Because everybody can do a little differently. It looks like when I'm blaming them, when I have negative emotions, when I'm withdrawing from them, when I'm trying to change them. And that's a disguise where I'm going to improve you. I love you, so I'm going to change you. And of course, that will make me feel good too, because then I'll get what I need. Okay. Or I'll feel more safe. You know, once I became so famous, my wife became very concerned about what I say. She said, if you say the wrong stuff, you could lose it. I said, honey, I made it this way, doing my thing, you know, but she, out of love, is wanting to improve me, protect me from danger, but ultimately that's her way of protecting herself. See, so that's the pretend one where we cover it up, which I'm really doing this for you, but actually it's for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that. It's how do we get it? So I want more. How do I get it? Look, if you're not getting what you want, look at the ways you try to get more and notice this doesn't work. See, our brain, this part of the brain has the capacity to stop if you catch it soon enough. You just have to, it has to be, I need to pause and stop. I have to stop what I'm doing. I don't believe what I think, don't believe what I'm feeling right now. If I'm not feeling love, then what I'm thinking and feeling is off in some way. So now my job is to recognize, okay, when I'm overfiring, when my limbic system off, I'm off. Don't believe what I think, don't believe what I feel, even though I'll look for evidence. What is happening hormonally at that time is, for women, your testosterone levels are rising. For men, your estrogen levels are rising. Until you lower your estrogen and raise your testosterone, you can't get the blood back up into the brain to give love again.
Wow. Okay.
And if you're a woman, if you're in fight or flight, your testosterone's going up, your estrogen's going down, You can't get into the front part of your brain. It's been hijacked. So the solution is, we know you're already hijacked if you're in a stress response. It doesn't, whatever you do is not going to work. And even if it was saying the exact words of one of my book, it still wouldn't work because you're in a stress response of not trusting, and you interact with somebody, they will mirror that back. That's what we do as human beings. These neurons in the brain, just, if you don't trust me, I don't trust you. If you're loving me, oh, I suddenly love you again. That's our power, is to come from the place of love. So once we recognize I am out of balance, how do I come back into balance if I'm a woman so I can feel my love again? Okay, for myself and others. For a man, if I'm out of balance, how can I come back in balance where my heart will open, where I love myself and love others? How do I do that? I'm aware that if I'm a woman, I need to do those things that I can get the support I need, other kinds of support I need that will stimulate estrogen. What are the types of things, like shopping right now? So many women should be shopping online, just simply looking at this, all the things you could buy, not buy, whatever. Looking at what you have and you don't have actually stimulates estrogen. Oh, I'd really like to have that. Oh, I could have this. And the key thing, that what's great about women is that you don't have to spend a lot of money either to produce estrogen. Little things, have those little boxes coming to your house all the time. Yeah. That is actually feeling, I have a need and somebody's responding to it. I have a need and somebody's responding to it. Okay, so another would be going online and taking a class. This is if you're at home. You can take, you're single, just take a class where you're dependent on somebody to learn something useful, something that you would make you happy, something that would benefit you in your life.
That's boosting estrogen as well?
That boosts yes, anytime. Anybody watching this video, if they feel like, oh, I need a little help in my relationship, if it's a woman, it will boost her estrogen. Now, if a man, for example, if he's learning a strategy to be successful, then that will boost his testosterone. But we have to focus, what is the solution here when we have this awareness of the gender imbalance inside of us, or the hormonal imbalance inside of us? We have different instructions for women, different instructions for men. For a woman, talking about what she feels is feeling safe to reveal. Because see, all the time women are cloaking what they feel. Okay, there's all kinds of feelings just aren't loving, aren't nice, sound demanding, sound critical, and they sort of sit inside. You dismiss them, but they stay there. They're in your physiology. And so you're literally, sometimes you're not even aware, I'm hiding what I feel. I'll give you an example. Today I'm going to be doing a talk to 1 million people in China online. I go to China a lot. They love my message. And I'll bring a woman on stage and I'll say, so you have high stress levels? She says, yes. And I say, what is the cause of your stress? She says, my husband. I said, are there any other causes of stress in your life? She goes, nope, everything's fine. Just my husband. And I said, well, do you have a job? She, oh, yes. I said, what's your job? I own 7 restaurants. And I said, oh, someone handles it for you? She said, no, I have to manage everything. I have to manage it. I said, how's the economy right now? Oh, not so good. I might have to close the restaurant. Imagine the stress involved, the frustrations, the disappointments. But she's handling it like a man, which is, that's what it is. No big deal. I have no feelings. I don't care. But then suddenly all that repressed emotion that she's hiding, because she's the boss, you can't show weakness, you can't show negativity. You just have to handle it. You push it down. All of that comes up on her husband. Oh my God. So the mind just overreacts to the spouse, or if you don't have a spouse, to your children. You'll become obsessive about your children, need to be better, whatever. You're so frustrated. It's got to come up somehow, and it comes up with dissatisfaction with the people who are closest to us. So back to estrogen land. So I was explaining that the point I was just making is many times women are not aware of all of the emotions that go on inside, because there's no point to sharing them. You don't want to reveal them. It makes you look less lovable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't go to work and share all your insecurities. You just don't do that. So you hold them inside. Then what happens is they start to get projected on your partner. They will get projected somewhere. Somebody's going to create dissatisfaction inside of you. Or you just keep pushing it down by staying on your male side. So one of the symptoms of pushing down your emotions to stay on your male side. See, yin energy, the feminine side, is look inside of me. See who I am. Look what I need. Look what I want. Look who I am. and love me. See me and love me. Okay, that's what women need, is to be seen, heard, touched in a loving way. Not a sexual way, by the way, since we're talking about touch. It's non-sexual touch that raises estrogen. Then when her estrogen gets to a certain point, then sexual touch will take her estrogen higher than nothing else. That's why sex and romance and intimacy is so significant. It will take her estrogen higher than anything. And you can measure this. This is experiencing this union, this potential. We had the potential for it by creating safety in our relationships. Now, as a man, I want to make it safe for her. She makes it safe for me by making sure that she's loving herself to the place of feeling good. Then she looks to me to make her feel better, to make her feel more good, to make her feel ecstatic. That's my main job. But the other part of my job is not to make it worse, because women will, they'll ask for help, and then guys, that's ridiculous. I'm too tired. I'm not going to do that. Why would you ask me to do that? Don't you know all the things I do for you? Why would you complain about this and this? You have more than most women in the world. I think you're just selfish. All these horrible things men will say. They just don't understand. They're using male logic on the whole thing. Male logic handles emotions by dismissing them. Now, psychology today tells men that's wrong. It's not. If you dismiss, the way men can build testosterone is to dismiss your emotions. You're afraid? Suck it up. Do it. That builds testosterone, overcoming fear. You want to cry about it? Suck it up. Just do what you have to do. You're angry about it? Don't talk. Meditate. This is what Buddha taught, actually, which is if you get, men used to be like animals, they're wars, huge amounts of wars and reactivity and so forth. So Buddha came along and said, man, you need to forget all these, you need to empty your mind. See, that's what everybody's saying now, which is be present. Mindfulness is really just don't indulge in your emotions. Let them go. Ignore them. Don't believe them. Push them down. Get over here to your testosterone. Build your testosterone by not having so much estrogen. Emotion is estrogen. When men have low testosterone, they'll have too much estrogen. So for him, he needs to dismiss the estrogen. Just forget it. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Let me now do something that will knock up my testosterone.
So try and draw a conversation out of him. We shouldn't try and tell him all about our feelings. Am I hearing you right?
Yes and no. The big mistake women make at those times is many men will instinctively, if they're not overly feminized, they will tend to not feel guilty taking me time. Okay, he's just going to go off and do his thing. And if she's more of a modern woman, she needs to get back to her female side. If she's in touch with her female side, she needs connection. So she's going to panic. Why are you pulling away? And she'll try to get him to talk to bring him in. That's the mistake. He doesn't need to talk at that time. But if you understand hormones, what you want to do is use him to raise your estrogen. If he can do something for you to raise your estrogen, and listening is one of the most powerful ways. It's not the only way. We can discuss other ways that it might be easier for some couples. But listening is where she reveals what she's feeling without editing, and he is present with her and hears and empathizes with what she says. Just puts his attention on it. He doesn't have to be a girl and fully understand it. He just has to show some caring, some interest, and try to understand better. So 3 things he can say when she's sharing her feelings is, help me understand that better. That's a really great magic phrase. Help me understand that better. It also puts him in his feeling that I'm not powerless here. I'm doing something. See, men have to feel they're doing something. So help me understand that better. But he has to have a background awareness that says, if I can understand what she's going through, it's an estrogen stimulator for her. Just as if she appreciated all the work I did today and went, you're my hero, amazing. Because of you, I'm so happy. That makes men feel really good. That's acknowledging and appreciation of what somebody has done. It's just as powerful for women if you actually acknowledge and understand why she may not be feeling so good. Mm-hmm. See, this is like the opposite what men think. It's like, so this is retraining ourselves. This is learning a new way of listening, as opposed to listening to fix, listening to change, but listening to feel an understanding and an empathy and a caring. And it's hard for men to care about things that men don't care about. Okay, so maybe she says, the copier broke at the office today and nobody would help me with it. I had to go to 3 stories up and I found another one. It didn't work either. And the guy's going, and why are you telling me that? But to another woman, she goes, yes, my copier was broken too. They don't listen to me at all at my job. So they get to have a sharing of feeling. But what can hook a man in so he can connect with you is not so much what you're talking about, but how it feels. If you say just the word, oh, the copier was broken, it was so frustrating. I didn't know this and couldn't do this. Frustration, he can immediately connect with. We have frustration. It's just for different things. And she says, oh, I was really disappointed. I wanted to get this done. I wasn't able to make it to my meeting. He can relate to, oh, I have disappointments. And actually it awakens him to his yin energy side, which is his feeling side, while he's also doing something which is very masculine. One of the most masculine things you can do is to listen to somebody and understand them deeper. See, he's penetrating in. He's going in. That's the male energy that goes in without reacting. If he reacts, he's now on his female side. So he goes in a non-reactive way, and a non-reaction would be empathy, would be, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I'm curious. What else? That's the next phrase. So help me understand that better. Another one is tell me more. And what else? These are things that give a man something to do. He needs to have something to do. He can't just stand there. Now, some women, they also need more than that. That's listening. So that's one thing. So you said, so a woman should just not try to share with a man. Actually, the key to that is you share emotions and feelings and thoughts and experiences that have nothing to do with him.
Oh. Okay.
That's the secret to the whole thing. All you need as a woman is to be heard and seen for things that you don't show the world, not what you don't show him. Show him the 80% of your life. Maybe you've got a lot of issues with him. He'll just get defensive. That's not going to raise your estrogen. You can talk about your feelings, but if the person listening is going to defend, your estrogen doesn't go up. Okay. So he's glad to hear other people. This other guy was frustrating to you, not him. So I learned this because women would come to me as a therapist. I can listen to them. And then after a few months, they'd say, why can't my husband listen like you? And I said, well, 3 reasons. One is that when you complain, it's not about me. So it's him. Right. 2, it's only 50 minutes and I know the session's over. I don't see you for a week. So it's not going to go on every day. Okay. and 3, at the end of the session, I get paid. Okay. There's something in it for me, When a guy's listening to his wife, what's in it for me? All I feel like is my testosterone is going down. I have failed. I'm not good enough. I haven't provided a good life for her. So all she has to do for this brief time, it should not be 50 minutes, ideally, something like 5 or 10 minutes. You check in, just say, honey, he's in his cave. You say, when you're out, I need your help. And this is only one of the things, but he says, sure, what is it? He says, oh, I'll tell you when you come out of the cave. And so he comes out and he says, okay, what is it? I say, oh, only take 5 minutes. And he says, well, okay, what? I just want to talk. You don't have to say anything. Please don't say anything. I just want to share with you my day and I feel more connected to you. I have this whole life and I feel separate from you. And I just want you to come into that world with me a little bit. It feels good. So I'm going to share some of my frustrations and disappointments from the day. And then afterwards, I'll let them go and feel good. I don't need anything fixed. I don't need you to solve anything. I don't need you to say anything. And I prefer you don't. And then you talk for 5 or 10 minutes. You're training him how to listen. What's in it for him? You go in for a hug and say, thank you so much. It felt so good. That felt so nice. And then go into another room. Go away for a while. Leave him in that space. And what did I do? Because he has to sort of see, what did I do that worked? I didn't say anything. I just listened. She was feeling like not good. And suddenly she felt good. And I got credit for it. See, this is all new information for men to get. She's training him. And she's also training herself. Because what she's learning is that so much of the angst that she might feel in her relationship, a big portion of that is about what happened today. It is about other things. And let's say you have this idyllic life and there's nothing truly that you're frustrated about in your life, but imagine somebody can convince themselves of that, and some people do. Then I say, okay, if you're feeling frustration or hurt or angry at your partner, still they're going to be defensive if you bring it up. There's always two sides to everything. So he'll bring up his side, and then you won't feel that you're heard, and it won't produce estrogen. So you can then say, if it's not about your day, you can just say to your partner, you know I have some stuff coming up, and it reminds me of when it's activating, my life is so wonderful. And it's just bringing up all these memories of when life wasn't wonderful. And you go back to a time in your past where you had the feelings that you're having today. And then you just say, when I was a little girl, when I was a guy, this would happen and this would happen. My brother said this. And I just wanted to say to him, I hate you. And then you just got to say it to your partner, and it will feel so good. But they will go, yeah, I would say that to him as well. So we have to find ways to have the feelings come up and be heard and seen so your mind can process it. Now, ultimately, theoretically, you could just look inside and process it. And maybe some people can if they have really a lot of self-love. But if you don't have a huge amount of self-love, you need to be able to share what you hide inside with somebody that's not going to take it personally and can give you the love. And what would the love look like? It would look like caring, empathy, understanding, appreciation, kindness, gentleness, not going into a reaction. So exposing yourself in a loving context again and again builds your self-love. And that's what this is about, is increasing self-love, is putting yourself in a situation where you're safe. And you're not safe, even though it's the man who'll give his life to you, to reveal a lot of emotions that might be about him, because he doesn't have any training on how to deal with that. His life is at stake. If you criticize him, it's like, wait a second. If you're criticizing me, then I'll lose your love. I need your love. He won't say that. He doesn't know the depth of his feeling, but that's that fear of losing love that motivates all of us once you're at this higher level. So now that's one thing she can do, but you had asked me that one thing. So should a woman, I forget what you actually said, but it was something about conversation. And the dance here is, yes, she needs to share her feelings. She doesn't need to go and ask him what he's feeling. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a thing for men. I know that women do have this insecurity when men are quiet, because when men are quiet, they have the only way of understanding that is their own reason for becoming quiet. When women get really quiet and are unfeeling, then it's usually because they feel, I don't trust you, I'm disappointed with you, I'm angry with you, I'm withholding my love from you. So she imagines that that's what he's going through. So often women just say, what are you feeling? What's going on? And so forth. Now, if a man does start talking about, maybe he's frustrated about his work, or he's got problems at work. If he starts talking about his emotions, his estrogen levels just go up. Okay. This is a time when he's trying to rebuild his testosterone. Forgetting your problems helps you to do something, a little hobby, some activity that helps you to forget the things you can't do anything about. That raises your testosterone back up. Thinking about things that are problems that I can't do anything about is going to lower my testosterone. I feel powerless. So men have a mechanism inside that says, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so forget it. It's like, that's life. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. That mechanism is not ideal for women. For women, it needs to embrace what you're feeling, ask for help, and help actually is helping you process what you're going through. That's the help you need. Unless you have tremendous self-love, then you can just look inside and process it and open your heart, and you never feel resentful. You appreciate your partner. You're a love magnet because you're putting out love, and that just pulls out the love in him. This is biology. If you come at somebody without any discontent with them, your heart is open, their heart will open. That's how it is. And maybe there's some people who aren't that way. Well, you didn't marry those people. You already know this person's wired up, and when your heart is open, their heart is open. And when your heart is closed, their heart will close. This is how we are as human beings. What we can do is, if our heart closes, take time apart. Just as connection is important, time apart is just as important, maybe more important, because we tend to spend too much time looking to each other. Time to pull away, do something to balance your hormones. For men, it would be disconnecting from anything that produces estrogen to allow your testosterone, and then do something that builds your testosterone. So disconnecting from anything that produces estrogen is, I don't need you. So men will often have a first reaction to not feeling loved is, well, then I don't care about you. I'm out of here. Now, that's basically saying, I don't need you, because he needs to come back to, I can do it myself. As he comes back to, I can do it myself, if he then does things himself that actually are productive in some way, his testosterone will now go up and he'll start to feel good. His heart will start to open. He will soften. And if he has some training, it's easy for him to go, you know, it's not all her fault. I did this. I didn't do this. How many times have I done this? What do I do now? And again, some men just, they feel their heart opening. They know, okay, I want to reconnect, but they don't know how to reconnect. And this is what they need to do. And a woman can say to him, you know, honey, when you're out of the cave, all you have to do is just come and be friendly towards me. Maybe touch my head, and then I know that your heart is open again. Or maybe just put your arm around me. And we're not going to bring up a big review of the last conversation. We're just going to settle into, we're safe, we love each other, and do loving things for each other for a while. And then maybe the issue was how we're going to invest some money. We'll talk about that at another time. We just need to come back to who we are, which is two people who deeply love each other and are interdependent on each other. And we're grateful for each other. So then you come back and you have a chance to, okay, we blew it in that conversation. We'll try it in another way. And then you have communication skills that come into that place. But the reason I don't focus just on communication skills, if your heart's not open, no matter what skill you have, it doesn't work. Saying the right words doesn't work if it's not authentically in your heart. The heart has to be open. And when your heart's open, you can say all the wrong words and it still works. Okay, so I like communication skills that can help us to make it even better. But the most important thing is the hormonal balance first and then coming back. So here's a communication skill. Okay, so one of the frustrations for women, I'll just talk about my wife, and you know, she has a problem with me, which is I leave lights on. We have a big house and I walk through it and have to turn on a light, walk out of the room. I forget to turn out the light. I'm looking this direction, the light's back there. So, and she's walking through and John leaves the light on all the time. And how many times has she looked at me and said, you forgot to turn out the light? This is years of him doing this. Okay, so I'm doing this for years. And then suddenly she changed her approach. And suddenly I started turning out the light. So what was that? Wasn't disapproving of me for that. It was actually approving of me. So what she approached me with, and I still remember it because it changed me. She said, I had left the light on. And she came in, she saw John, and she said to me, oh, John, I was just walking to the living room and I turned out the light. And I realized so many times you do turn out the light, but sometimes you forget. And I really would love it if you could just try to remember. I know you're doing your best. And then walked out of the room. Did not require a response like, yes, I will do that.
Wow.
Or I'm sorry. You know, the I'm sorry thing when you're looking to your partner to feel sorry is such a downer for men because it lowers their testosterone. And then anything that lowers our testosterone, we want to forget in order to raise our testosterone up. So shaming men doesn't work. It's love that motivates men. If you're living from your monkey brain, punishment does work. Okay. So if you get punished for things, people work, they change their behavior out of fear. But once fear goes away, then the behaviors come back. And the idea of an intimate, loving relationship is you take away all punishment. You love someone. Now, how do you get them to give you more of what you want? You give them more of what they want, and then you ask for more in small increments with love. So that's what she did. She just started giving me lots of compliments for things that I'm not doing. But I know sometimes you do this. You know, you know, one time I was like 2 hours late for dinner, and she said something the next day. She was so angry, she went right to bed. She said, your food's in the kitchen. And I got it, you know. But the next day she said, now, John, I know many times. First of all, she said, this is not a big deal, even though it was a big deal. That what women don't realize, if you want a man to hear you without defending, just say, this is not a big deal. I just want you to understand how I feel. It's $1 million phrase. It's $1 billion phrase.
Wow.
Is you know, and I have to say, because some women will say, well, what if it's an affair? That is a big deal. I said, yeah, that is a big deal. So don't talk to him about it. Go find a therapist. First, talk to the therapist for a while, then bring him in and talk to him about it with a therapist. Because he can't hear you. Either he's going to just go, I'm awful, I'm terrible, I feel bad, or he's going to have all his reasons and all his blame back and so forth. If you're going to share your feelings and want to experience higher estrogen and coming into balance, it needs to be in a context where he will not get defensive. Now, reason therapists and coaches are so good for counseling many times, not always, is that somebody is neutral in the room. So if I have a couple and they're like really at each other, I won't let them look at each other. I said, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, until I get them feeling heard and safe. And then I'll give them a phrase to use. And now look at your partner and say this. Okay. Then the partner can hear it without the defensiveness, because it's the defensiveness. They're all just jacked up in defensiveness, cortisol flaring. But if they're in my presence and I'm not judging or shaming them, what happens is they're now loving neurons turn on. But when they're together, they're mistrusting, unappreciative, anger, defensive neurons turn on. So literally you need an outside person. And even better, just go to an outside person, help them, talk to them without your partner being there. Because there's always this tendency of, I'm talking to my therapist so he'll hear me and change. Any attachment you have to changing somebody will cause them to stay the same. It's this attachment. You're not lovable unless you do this. So what Bonnie did is she went to the place of she's loving herself, so that my job was just to make her life easier and happier, as opposed to, I failed at my job, so she really feels awful. She has to turn out the lights all the time with me. And, you know, and I took that as an example because it was the last 10 years of our marriage. Before that, there were bigger issues, okay? But it got to where it was just little issues. And this also kills relationships. If you have a pretty good life, the issues that come up are little. Because what happens is her stress she would have in the office and here and there, it puts her out of balance, and then suddenly little things become big things. And if she can just preface it, and she learned to do this, this is not a big deal. I just need you to hear me and don't say anything. And sometimes she just, I have 3 feelings I want to share with you, just 3 points, and then we'll be done. Then I can actually hear it and think about it and reflect on it and feel the part of me that will try to do better. But when you're looking down the gun at somebody, either it's fear and you don't want to have a relationship where somebody's giving you love because they're afraid. You know, that's the lowest common denominator. The highest is because it's unconditional. And that's what we want to get to that place.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. This is a wealth of knowledge. I am so thankful. So
I know we've been for an hour, but I have to throw in another thing, which is so great. Yeah. During the COVID thing, staying at home, I invented a game, okay? Because you're together all the time. You don't have all this extra support in your life that would normally boost your hormones up. You're just looking to your partner, used to them, you know, filling you up, but they're only there 20% of the time. It's the 80-20 principle. We should really look for 80% of our happiness from not our partner to feel good. That's our job. And then we look to our partner for the extra 20% to make us feel better. Suddenly you don't have all that support, but you're used to your partner making you feel better, then they're not doing their job. What's wrong? And it gets very confusing. Stress responses go up. So, and also our needs become more. A woman's need to talk about issues becomes stronger. A man's need to be in his cave becomes stronger. Because we don't have the normal support in our lives. So here's what you do. It's called Genie in the Bottle. It's 20 minutes. You can do it every other day. And men need to feel like heroes, right? So he's the genie. Genie is all powerful, right? He can just grant any wish you want. So during that 20 minutes, she basically, let's play Genie in the Bottle. Or when you're out of your cave, will you play Genie in the Bottle with me? She asks, and he says, yes. And so now he agrees. I'm the genie in the bottle. Your wish is my command. For the next 20 minutes, I will do whatever you want, and it's my great pleasure to do that. And you just rub it in. He doesn't do anything unless she asks, and she has to watch too. Okay, so I want you to do this, and then he does this. I want you to wash those dishes. I want you to clean the counters. You know, I want you to go do the laundry for me. The living room needs vacuuming, and she just gets to sit there and go, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. And, I want you to go and get those nice oils that I have in my drawer, and come take off my shoes and my socks, and then give me, a good 5-minute foot massage. And, that's really good. And he constantly reassures us, what else would you like? I want to do this. It makes me so happy to please you. It makes me so happy to please you. And the beginning, you might have to just exaggerate, but after 5 minutes, you actually feel these things. It's that depth of connection you feel if you're having a good making love session. But this is not sexual. And by the way, it could be sexual. You could basically say, you're getting ready for bed, and you say, oh, let's play Genie in the Bottle. Now, It's really fun because then it opens up the door for communication in sex. It gives men permission to take orders. A lot of men go, I don't like to be controlled. But the truth is, if there's a fire, we put out the fire, that fire is controlling us. It's just that we're able to choose to be a fireman. So in this case, he's got 20-minute window. You can't say things like, and I want you to do all the taxes tomorrow. That's tomorrow. You know, if you want to do taxes, okay, sit with him while he's working on taxes for 20 minutes, and that's it. So you get 20 minutes of you time where he's serving you, and he gets to feel his pride in doing a good job, and you get to keep asking, and it has to be little things. The thing about estrogen is big things and little things have the same estrogen response. So the way I say that in Men Are From Mars is every act of love on Venus, every act of love, big or small, has the same response. So I can give my wife 50 roses. This is going to be, oh, how beautiful, how beautiful. I can give her 3 roses. Oh, how beautiful, how beautiful. I can actually give her 1 rose. And she go, oh, I love it, I love it. So lots of little things is a supercharger of estrogen. If it's just one big thing, it's not going to be so much of a big charge. So she's got to find a lot of little things for him to do during that time. And it's very fun. It's very sweet. And he gets to feel successful. And you can even give your genie a name, whatever, be playful with it. And it literally allows her to go into the receptive side, which is estrogen. I can depend on you. I will get a positive response. Because when men have low testosterone, they tend to be a little grumpy when you ask them to do something. And then women tend to be a little mistrusting already. And so now they go, oh, I don't want to bother him. Oh, he'll just growl at me. Oh, he doesn't really want to do it. But in the game, clearly it's a game. You're playing the game. He wants to do it. And he wants to win. He wants to be the star. And you get to be the star because you got him to do all you want.
Yeah, it's sweet. I love it. It's a great game.
And it's a great game. It's also a builder of self-love.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask in a non-demanding way, it's actually an affirmation that you are worth it. If you have to demand, if you have to push somebody to do it, you're kind of affirming that, you know, you don't automatically deserve it. You have to get mad to get it. Yeah. So it's safety to articulate, I have needs, I enjoy, I deserve. All of that automatically happens as someone is serving you that you value a lot.
This is all so beautiful, and it wraps everything together with the self-love. And I couldn't have asked for a better conversation. This is so great. This is so great. Was there anything else you wanted to add? Was there?
No, I think that's just little summary things to pump up a man's testosterone. The 3 primary needs that actually I wrote about in Men Are From Mars, but also in Beyond Mars and Venus. If you can summarize it, kind of have a direction, is when you're giving messages that you appreciate him, testosterone goes up. Messages that you accept him even though he's not perfect, testosterone goes up. And you trust that he'll do his best, and he always is doing his best, so you can ask for help. That's a big testosterone booster. And for women, the big estrogen boosters tend to be along the lines of showing how much you care. We talked about, you know, if you get a scratch in your car, you care. Oh, you feel someone's pain. You can empathize. Big thing. Doing things for that person that makes their life more comfortable and easy is caring. Protecting is caring. These are all messages of big time messages of love. Understanding, when a woman feels you understand me, even if I'm in a bad mood, you understand I'm still a lovable, wonderful person. And the sun will shine again. It's just there's clouds in the way. Okay, so this is like really important that she doesn't feel judged. You know, when you really can walk in the shoes of somebody, there's no judgment. So she needs to feel free of any kind of judgment or being dismissed or being seen in a negative way. So understanding, caring. And the third, which is really the most important, is respect, to be honored and respected as opposed to diminished and dismissed. You know, women, the Aretha Franklin song was such a big hit, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, we deserve respect. Why is that so important? Because typically in our culture, if you make money, you get respect, as opposed to if you're a loving being, a good person, a caring person, you deserve respect. And the way you show that respect is by honoring their wishes and needs as very important. And that's demonstrating respect. And that's what men need. And this is a game. The little game epitomizes that. It gives you a chance to feel safe, that you can ask for more and he'll respond. And when he responds to your needs, he's respecting your needs.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. This has been like the best hour. I love it.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to spend this time with you.
Thank you. All right. I look forward to talking to you again. Thanks. All right.